What is going on, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. You know the drill. All right, we are coming in with another episode of the podcast, and we are going live across all the socials to get this kicking off. If you are coming into this one live, please let us know that you are here and ready to rock and roll. We're going to start in a couple of moments, give all our crew a chance to come in, and we are good. So what's going on, guys? I hope you've had a miraculous start to the week, wherever you are in this beautiful wide world. I hope you are in Aussie and appreciating the impending summer that is coming. I hear you guys are getting a little bit of nice weather of always. It's getting freaking freezing here in Canada. Literally, this morning I could not sit in this office without shivering, which was a bunch of fun, but I'm not going to complain. So I hope everyone is having a beautiful start to the morning, guys. We're going to kick this off in 2 minutes, okay? And then we're going to be rocking and rolling. And this is going to be a really, really important podcast because I think a lot of you guys struggle with the motivation thing, and this should help. Good morning, Ash. Always the first one in. I hope you're well. Hello, Zar. How are you, my brother? Guys, my main man, Zar, 10 kilos down. Dude, I'm super proud of you, Zar. You are absolutely dominating, brother. Well done, and I'm loving you in here. Thanks, Mr. Dominic, for letting all the crew know that we are live into the podcast. And like I said, guys, if you're coming to this one live, make sure that you get on. Let us know in the comments that you're here. We're going to be starting in around 90 seconds, giving everyone a chance to come in and get the service that they need. Got a bit tongue-tied there for a second, which is a bit weird for me, isn't it? So just come off a call with the one and beautiful Lucy McGregor in the UK. So Lucy's been a little bit quiet off doing a holiday in Turkey, but it seems to be the thing for everyone to do at the moment, isn't it? The holiday in Turkey, but she's back and she's going to be with us for the next 12 months. I also want to shout out to my boy, Jared Hallop, who has come back fierce after a holiday too. He's with us for the next 12 months as well, which is so good. And Julie Robertson, my beautiful biker girl, I hope you're having a lovely start to the morning. G'day, Cole. I hope you're well, brother. Thanks for coming into this one live. Now, guys, we're starting this one in 60 seconds and counting. We're going to count this in. If you do come in and watch this on replay, make sure that you hashtag replay in the comments. This is going to be an episode on motivation, all right? So again, I know that this is something that a lot of guys struggle with, and so we're going to tackle it in this podcast. Hello, James. How are you, brother? I hope you are well. If you have any questions over the course of the podcast, or even things that have worked for you or that have not worked for you, make sure that you let us know. And by the way, if you're in any way confused a little bit about the time zones of the podcast and you're inside of Better Body Academy, what you can do is go to the top of the group and you will see when all of the coaching calls, all of the lives are. And it has been a little bit shuffling because of the different time zones across the world that have been adjusting for daylight savings at the moment. So we are going to bring in our Instagram crowd and then we're going to kick this right off. So guys, let me just sort this out. If you can give me half a second, we'll bring the Instagram crew in and then we are going to crack on with this one. So I think we are about ready to rock and roll. Let's go Instagram. I hope you are having a beautiful morning. All right, guys, we're good. We're ready to pump this. Are we ready to talk about motivation? Because this is the thing that keeps most people stuck. So let's go. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Now, today we are tackling a topic which has to be, as I've put in the description of the podcast, has to be the thing that people ask about the most. It's the most cited excuse to why people are falling off the horse. And it's this idea of motivation. So what we're going to go through today is what motivation is. We're going to understand what I think is the actual biggest misunderstanding that people have around motivation. And then I'm going to give you no short of 20 mindset shifts. Now, after the podcast, I've actually put together a short guide to summarize what I've talked about in this podcast. So if you keep an eye out on the socials, I'm going to pop it up. And if you want me to send that guide across to you, I certainly will. So let's start with a little bit of an introduction to motivation. Like, what is motivation? What does it look like? What does it not look like? And what are the consequences of not having it? Well, firstly, for me, motivation is a feeling of wanting to be engaged in life. That's loosely how I define it. But it's a feeling that's within us, right? We wake up with a sense of purpose and we feel like we want to go and tackle our day. We also know what it feels like to not be motivated. That's when we get up and it feels like, I don't want to leave the bed. I want to stay right here and keep pressing snooze on my alarm. And you see that those opposite paradigms are really bloody difficult. Because if you're in a zone where you feel completely unmotivated, well, what ends up happening is you don't want to exercise, you certainly don't want to eat right, and you start to get trapped in this almost like victim mindset, right? Where you blame the world and you blame your circumstances for the things that you're going through. And I want to say that I think every single person goes through periods of low motivation. That's one of the misunderstandings. When people are constantly unmotivated, they look at the rest of the world and it feels like the world's going past in front of them and they're like, why can't I be like that? But actually, what you're seeing is not real. I have periods of terribly low motivation. There's reasons for it, but I have periods just like you. And so we're going to talk about how you can overcome those periods. What does it feel like to not be motivated? It feels horrible. It literally feels like the end of the world, and it almost feels like you start to question life. You start to question your worthiness. You start to question your self-love, and trying to create the life you want, the body you want, the mind you want, trying to be the mum and dad that you want to be when you're feeling low in motivation is really, really hard. You're trying to push shit uphill. Now let's talk about the big understanding that most people have about motivation. They label it as, I'm just not a motivated person. But motivation is not a character trait. You are not either motivated or not. You've got times when you are motivated and times when you're not. Just like you've got times when you're happy and times that you're sad. Times that you're tired and times that you're energetic. These feelings are feelings that come and go. The mistake is to identify and make motivation, label yourself as an unmotivated person. Look, whether you feel motivated or not, that feeling is going to be temporary and it's going to have the opposite. It's going to come and go. The mistake that people make is thinking that before I can do anything, I need to get motivated. Let me know in the comments if that is absolutely you, where you feel like I need to get motivated before I can take action. And I used to think exactly the same way. What I have learned is that motivation is not something you need to get started. Motivation is something that happens. It's a feeling that happens once you do it. You would reflect on periods of your life where you've been terribly unmotivated and almost got to the point where you're like, fuck, I just have to do something. You're unmotivated. I have to go to work. I have to go to the gym. I have to go and do the shopping. And then all of a sudden, when you start doing it, you feel good about it. You feel good that you take, all of a sudden, the motivation starts to happen. And so motivation is an outcome that happens as a result of you taking action. It is not a prerequisite for you to actually starting. The feeling of motivation becomes an identity if you keep repeating it. People start to see you as a really motivated person because you keep repeating the behaviors of motivation. But it works in the opposite as well. When you start to believe I'm an unmotivated person and you start to label what is an emotion and make that an identity, all of a sudden you start to become the person that's always stuck. The victim, the one that's watching the rest of the world thrive while you sit on your ass. What you are trying to actually do is build the character trait of discipline. Discipline is much different to motivation. Discipline is a character trait. This is something that you build over time when you learn to trust yourself, when you learn to believe in yourself again. And once you've built discipline, it actually becomes harder to not be motivated than it is to be unmotivated. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go through 20 key points that I think, and I'm going to hit each one quickly. And I want you to think about how maybe this is relevant in your life. These 20 items that I'm going to go through, I'm going to summarize as an ebook and make available to anyone that watches it. Just send me the message motivation and I will shoot it across to you. These are different ways to think about motivation and how perhaps it might be keeping you stuck feeling low on it. Number one, have you worked out why you actually want to get in shape? A lot of people have no idea why they're trying to go to the gym. They have no idea why they're scrolling on Instagram looking for a quick fix or a coach. They have no idea why they actually want to do it. So if you have no conviction in why you're trying to do it, you're not going to be motivated as soon as it starts pissing down raining. I'm thinking about all of our clients that are living in the UK, the US, and Canada, particularly, where we're looking at the Australians, and the Australians are about to go into summer and looks very motivating, and everyone's walking on the beach. But for us, it's getting fucking freezing cold. If you don't know why you are doing this in the first place, well, guess what? The chances of you actually doing it are minimal. For me, it is everything that I get my health and fitness in a place of goodness, because it's my mental health. If I don't have my mental health and I don't love myself and feel confident in myself, the rest of my life crumbles. Number two, goal setting. What specifically are you trying to achieve? What specifically are you trying to achieve? Are you actually trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to get more flexible? Are you trying to improve your longevity? Are you trying to live an overall more energetic life? You have to be clear in what you're trying to achieve, because a lot of people have differing outcomes. They're looking for different things. And so they get very confused 2 or 3 weeks into their transformation when they forgot what they're actually trying to do. What are you trying to achieve? Do you know right now what you're trying to achieve? And I want you to focus on actions instead of outcomes. We're going to talk a bit more about that, but when you focus on outcomes only, you can't control whether you lose weight, whether your weight comes down, whether you fit better in the clothes. What you can control is going for a walk. What you can control is what you put in your mouth. These things help you to gain control over your life when you focus on actions instead of outcomes. This was the advice that we gave to Anna on the coaching call yesterday. Just fuck the scales off. Get rid of them. Instead, just focus on taking messy action today. I want to talk about number 3, which is micro goals. Specifically breaking these big, insurmountable goals that you guys set into smaller steps. We think about things like, next week, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week. And you haven't been to the fucking gym for 4 days a week since 1963. Why do you think that you're going to go to the gym 4 days a week next week? It's not going to happen unless you break your goals down. Some examples of micro goals would be putting those 4 days into a calendar. If you wake up and you just react, how how the hell is that going to transfer to results? When are you going to train? What time? What days? For how long? Taking that extra little bit to break the goal down makes the world of difference to your level of motivation, to the chances of you executing. It's all very well and good to say, I'm going to eat healthier. What does that actually mean? How are you going to do that? When are you going to do your shopping? When is it going to happen by? Where are you going to do it? This is taking the plans and putting them into practice. Number 4, creating messy action over perfection. The number one thing that stops people from being able to actually get into momentum is that they want everything to be bloody perfect before they do everything. And so they end up waiting for years and years and years and years and years, and nothing gets done. Messy action that's sloppy and horrible and might involve being a mum and doing the workout with your hair messy and sweaty and the kids vomit all over you. Okay, that's better than not doing it at all. As a man, you'd be far better to get in a 20 or 30-minute workout before work and being able to do it than not doing it at all. Number 5, have you created a routine? What happens is we're just so paralyzed by having to make decisions. What I mean by a routine is, in your family, have you spoken with your partner about when is a great time for us to prepare our meals for the week or for the day? When are we going to actually go out for dinner? And when are we going to use our calories? Having a routine means getting up in the morning and thinking, the moment you get out of bed, do you have a plan that you're ready to execute upon? Because if you don't have a plan, what's going to end up happening is you're just going to kind of do whatever screams the loudest. And most of the time that's work, which means you don't get to do the things that you're actually trying to motivate yourself to do, and you feel shitty as a result of it. Number 6, you need to sleep. We've been talking about this a hell of a lot over the course of the last few weeks, because I think people are starting to realize that a lack of sleep is the thing that is poisoning their progress. If you feel tired all the time, the chances of you being able to execute are absolutely 0 and none. Let's talk about number 7, which is having an open discussion with your partner. My life would not work if I didn't have a shared calendar with my wife where we talked about how we're going to take what we want to do and actually do it. As an example, she typically goes to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning and I mind the kids. And then when she comes back, I drop my son at school and continue on to the gym. That's a routine that's been pre-discussed that allows both of us to execute. If you don't have this open dialogue with your partner, typically what happens, and particularly if you're a woman, you just get left with a burden. And I'm speaking generalist here, but what ends up happening is man goes to work, woman's kind of like, well, fuck, I can't do anything because I'm minding the kids or I'm going to work myself, and ends up getting to the point where they have mum guilt and nothing changes. You guys feel that? Number 8 is the power of accountability. Rather than trying to rely on motivating yourself all the time, trying to pump yourself up, what about just leaning on your friends, your family, your coaches, and your community a little bit more? What about actually thinking, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lean in here and stop trying to be self-made all the time. It is absolutely no surprise to me at all that the guys and girls that get involved in the group, they get onto the coaching calls and lean on the support that they're offered, they ask questions, are the ones that are absolutely dominating inside of our program. That's how it works. It's because they're making use of the accountability that's given to them. Number 9, ask yourself, like, what does success look like for you? If you were a mum or a dad that was absolutely executing on their goals around fitness and weight management, what would that actually look like? Because part of the reason that most people struggle to move towards where they want to go is they don't have any fucking idea where they're trying to actually go. If you can create a visual in your mind of what it would look like for you to be successful, to be a healthy man or woman, well, then you can move towards it. But if you can't actually conceive it in your mind, it's like trying to drive somewhere that you don't know without a GPS. You have to be able to lock onto it and visualize it, to see it actually happening, to get emotionally involved in it. Number 10 is tracking all types of progress. What metrics are you using to determine how well your transformation's going? Are you just looking at the scales? Or are you looking at victories like, I feel way more energetic at the moment. I'm becoming confident in myself again. My clothes are starting to fit even better. I'm realizing that I'm not nodding off in the middle of work because my brain's actually getting energy. I just went to the doctor and he told me that my cholesterol and blood sugar levels have come down. If you are only looking at one-dimensional weight, you are missing a huge opportunity, a huge opportunity. Number 11, preparing to fail. People go into transformations and they get really surprised when they start to struggle, which is fucking crazy to me, because if I was to ask you at the start of your transformation, do you think this is going to be hard for you at times? You would say, absolutely it is. Yes, definitely it's going to be hard. That's why I need help. But then the amount of people that get 2 or 3 weeks into an actual transformation then go, fuck, this is really hard. And then just disappear, give up on themselves. It was predictable. So what we're better to do is actually prepare for when the failure happens and having a support system to actually dust the knees off and get back going again. Number 12, have a look at your circle. What happens typically for most people is at the start of a transformation, all their friends clap them and support them and pump them up, and it's amazing. And then what ends up happening is, as soon as they see you starting to become successful and start to move and be proud of yourself again, they start to just weirdly detract from you. They start to do things that try to unhinge you. Come on, Jeff, why don't you come back to the pub, man? Are you seriously going to continue on this diet? How many of you have a boss or an employee that asks you all the time, are you still doing that Better Body Academy diet thing you're doing? You've got to be willing to chop these people out of your life if you want to be successful, because otherwise it's like crabs in a bucket. They're just trying to bring you back down. Number 13, and this is a bit of a weird one for a coach to say, but I think it's totally important, and that's that you need to back off occasionally. If you want to be motivated, you've got to go through periods where you recharge your batteries. In a couple of episodes ago, we talked about sleep debt. If you think that you can always be operating at 100% all of the time, you are absolutely kidding yourself. It's not going to happen. You're not going to eat perfectly, and you shouldn't. You're not going to train intensely every session, and you shouldn't. You're not going to be able to continue to survive on 4 to 5 hours a day of sleep, and you shouldn't. You need to take times where you have a deload day or a deload week, where you back off the calorie deficit, when you just sleep in to recharge your motivation. Number 14, are you celebrating your wins along the way with little personal rewards? I think this is so important. What I love so much is when I'm seeing guys and girls hit a little milestone, maybe they run a 10K or they run a half marathon, and they buy themselves a new pair of runners. I love seeing that shit. I love seeing when someone loses 10 kilos and goes and shouts themselves out to a massive dinner. That's what it's about. That's what integrating fitness and life together as a lifestyle, a way of living, that's what that means. It involves not being 100% all the time and rewarding yourself sometimes. Number 15 is having a simple morning routine that sets your day up right. Most people listening to this podcast have their alarm go off in the morning, they look at their alarm, and then they start scrolling. And the problem with that is, from moment one, you are reacting to the shit that's happening in your life, and you aren't being proactive in setting the day up that you want to success. So the chances of you waking up in the morning and having a winning lottery ticket versus the chances of you waking up and it's your mum complaining, it's your brother that's got a problem, it's a bill that you didn't expect, whatever it is, it just sets your day up the wrong way. So you're far better to spend the first hour to two living the morning on your terms and setting it up the right way. Maybe it's listening to this podcast as an example. Number 16, as we move into the final 5, that is to move from pain being your predominant driver. Pain is a great way to start. Don't get me wrong. Escaping your old life and leaving the shit behind and feeling like, you know what? I'm not gonna. I hate that guy. I hate that girl. I hate the loathing that comes with that. That's a good way to start for sure. It's not a great way to keep going. It takes a lot of energy to keep picking yourself up when you're constantly rubbishing yourself and feeling like shit. What happens after a period of time is you need to move your energy from feeling like it's negative propelled energy into what am I moving towards here that's going to make my life better? Is it more fitness, more energy, more love, more happiness, more money? What is it that's driving this? Okay. Number 17 is to help your motivation by utilizing technology. What I mean by this is wearables, trackers, apps like MyFitnessPal, step apps, BBA lifting program, Bluetooth scales. These wearables or technological pieces, what they do is help you to stay on track by providing you objective data that shows you what you're doing. For example, if you're using the BBA lifting program app properly, what's going to happen is over time, if you're sticking to the program, you're going to see massive increases in your strength development. That's going to be really encouraging for your motivation, regardless of what's happening to your weight. If you can see your strength improving over time on a squat, on a bench press, on a hip thrust. Number 18 is to amalgamate your fitness with your friends and family time. Particularly in Australia, we have this culture which is like, just go and get drunk with the boys or the girls type thing. Like, try this out for size. What if instead you invited your best mate to instead go for a walk with you and enjoy a coffee? What if you instead invited your best girlfriend to come to the gym with you and do a gym program with you, a gym day with you? What if you did something that brought your kids into your world of fitness rather than keeping them on the outside? To me, this is a fantastic way for you to increase the motivation around you. Number 19 is to focus on the things that you can control. Because the reality is, in life, so many things you can't control, and the more you try to control those things, particularly other people, for example, you might have a partner that you feel it really enables your bad motivation levels or your behaviors that you'd like to change. You could spend all your time trying to change them, or you can just realize that that person's not ready for change yet. And so you control what you can control, which is yourself and the actions that you're following, and leave him or her to what they need to do once they're ready. Number 20, and I think actually this is one of the most important, and that is to be integral with your word. What I mean by this is not breaking your own trust. When these negative stories come up where you start to say things to yourself like, I can't do this, I'm fat and ugly, I don't deserve this, no one wants me, you've got to practice putting an end to that story. Because that story is going to continue to bring you back down and undo all of your good work. You know it. If that's a recurring story that you have in your head, what I do when that story comes up is I say to myself out loud, I say, Jason, this is a fucking stupid story and it stops now. I literally say it out loud. Because for me, I have to consciously break the pattern. If you're integral with your word, Here's what you do. You don't say shit that you don't mean to follow through with. Because more than breaking trust with your partner, your friends, or your family, you don't want to break trust with yourself, because you know that will erode your self-confidence and your self-love. Now, guys, this has been a big deep dive. Is it super exciting content? Probably not. But this is the thing. I think most people with their fitness journey are looking for fancy, like quick fix, shiny object shit. That's not what it's about. Getting in the best shape of your life is about doing the boring things over and over and over again. It can sometimes be a boring test. And what ends up happening is the person that stays in the game for the longest ends up coming out the other side. The person that turns up to the gym, is willing to eat the same foods over and over and over again, going out occasionally. These are the guys that win. And guess what? When you win, by that time, it's become so habitual that you don't want to go back to the old you. And people start to refer to you as that motivated person. Why is Liz so motivated? Why is Zar or Terry or Nick or Xanth, how are they always so fucking motivated? Because they're willing to implement the tactics that I've talked about in this podcast. Now, if you want a copy of the guide that I just have put together, what I want you to do is message me the word motivation on either Instagram or Facebook, and I will download and send across the guide to you completely for free. And if you want more information about what we do here, then by all means, send me a message. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast, coming to you for another week. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll speak to you in the next episode. All right, my team. I hope there was some little golden nuggets in that stream for you guys. Liz says, hey, I've got you on in the background while working out. I appreciate you, Liz. That's amazing, girlfriend. Well done. Well done. Okay, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you there. Hopefully this episode has been helpful. Hello, Woz. Hello, Sarah. I hope you've had a beautiful morning as well. We will chat soon, team. Speak to you in the next.